We start with a question you've probably seen on store shelves. Do men and women really need different pre-workout formulas, or is this just clever packaging? Products labeled for men or for women often promise tailored benefits, but the science behind these claims is rarely explained. In this talk, I'm going to examine what actually determines pre-workout effectiveness, review the key ingredients and their research-supported doses, and explore whether physiological differences between men and women warrant different formulas. We'll look at how marketing influences packaging, pricing, and language, and whether the so-called pink tax applies to supplements. By the end, you'll have the tools to evaluate supplements on substance rather than color or branding. To begin, let's look at how the rise of gender-specific supplements has shaped the market. Gender-targeted marketing has exploded in the pre-workout category. Walk through any supplement aisle and you'll see tubs claiming to be specially formulated for men or women. Despite this proliferation, only about 2.5% of sports nutrition products are marketed to women, according to Lumina Intelligence. Those that do target women often come with a price premium, sometimes 11% higher, without clear justification. Companies seize on untapped demographics by repackaging similar formulas in pastel tubs and adding a "for her" label. This surge capitalizes on consumer curiosity and a perception that women require different supplements. But before we accept these claims, we need to understand what the labels are actually selling. Next, we'll explore what gender-specific marketing looks like in practice. Gender products are easy to spot. Women's pre-workouts often come in pastel pinks, purples, and floral designs, with flavors like marshmallow cereal and strawberry cupcake. Labels use words like toning, slim, or beauty to position the product as a lifestyle accessory. In contrast, men's products sport bold blacks and reds, and names like Intense Lightning Punch or Rage Fuel. The language highlights power, aggression, and muscle gain. These design choices play to cultural norms and expectations, creating a sense of personalization that may feel meaningful even when the ingredient lists are nearly identical. The contrast in marketing sets up a perception of difference that may not exist in the formula itself. To understand the real factors that drive performance, we need to look at what actually determines pre-workout effectiveness. A pre-workout's effectiveness isn't about the color of its label, but the functions of its ingredients. Nitric oxide boosters like L-citrulline increase blood flow by widening blood vessels, giving you that pump in the gym. Central nervous system stimulants, particularly caffeine, heighten alertness and reduce the perception of fatigue, helping you push through tough sets. Endurance buffers such as beta-alanine raise muscle carnosine levels, delaying the accumulation of acidity and allowing you to train harder for longer. Cognitive enhancers including L-tyrosine and other nootropics support focus and reaction time during intense workouts. These categories apply equally to men and women, and their combined effects are what make a formula effective. Next, we'll break down the key ingredients you should look for and why they matter. Let's look at the building blocks of a solid pre-workout. L-citrulline is a nitric oxide precursor that enhances vasodilation, leading to improved blood flow and a stronger muscle pump. Creatine monohydrate replenishes ATP stores, supporting explosive strength and power output. Beta-alanine increases the concentration of carnosine in muscle tissue, buffering acidity and delaying fatigue during high-intensity efforts. Caffeine is a well-studied stimulant that increases alertness, improves reaction time, and reduces perceived exertion. L-tyrosine is an amino acid that helps maintain cognitive function under stress by supporting neurotransmitter production. These ingredients don't have genders. When delivered at research-supported doses, they benefit all lifters. To understand those doses, we'll next examine evidence-based dosing guidelines. Research gives us clear dose ranges to aim for. For pumps and endurance, pure L-citrulline is effective at 6 to 10 grams per serving, or about 8 grams when in the malate form. Creatine requires a loading phase followed by a daily maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams to keep muscles saturated. Beta-alanine works best at around 3.2 to 6.4 grams per day, usually split into smaller servings to minimize tingling. Caffeine's ergogenic benefits are linked to body weight, with 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram consumed about an hour before exercise producing the best results. These ranges don't change based on whether you're male or female. They depend on body size, tolerance, and training goals. Next, we'll look at physiological differences between men and women to see if they influence supplementation. Men and women do have distinct physiological characteristics, but these don't necessarily call for completely different supplements. On average, men weigh 10 to 15 kilograms more than women, meaning they may need higher absolute doses to achieve the same milligrams per kilogram ratio. Hormones differ too. Men produce more testosterone, while women have fluctuating levels of estrogen and progesterone across the menstrual cycle. Women tend to oxidize more fat at moderate intensities, whereas men burn more carbohydrate. And research shows that caffeine is cleared more slowly during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, which can extend its effects. These differences suggest that dosing might need to be fine-tuned, yet the fundamental mechanisms of action for pre-workout ingredients remain the same. Next, we'll consider whether these factors truly change supplement needs. So, do our physiological differences mean we need separate formulas? Generally, no. Body mass influences how much of an ingredient you require. Someone weighing 50 kilograms will take a smaller absolute dose than someone weighing 80, yet the ingredient itself remains the same. Sex hormones can affect how our bodies metabolize substrates, but the pathways targeted by creatine, citrulline, and beta-alanine operate similarly in both sexes. Studies show that men and women experience comparable improvements in strength and endurance from creatine and beta-alanine when doses are matched to body weight. Early research on nitrates suggests women might respond differently, but the data are sparse. The takeaway: adjust your dose based on your weight and training schedule, but don't let marketing decide your ingredients. We'll dive deeper into caffeine sensitivity next. Caffeine is one area where nuance matters. Metabolic clearance of caffeine slows during the luteal phase, meaning women might feel the effects longer and experience more sleep disruption if they consume it late in the day. Some research suggests women may report higher anxiety at equivalent absolute doses compared with men. The simplest solution is to adjust your intake, dose caffeine on a milligram per kilogram basis, and consider timing it earlier in your day, or reducing the amount if you notice jitters or insomnia. For most adults, 3 to 6 milligram per kilogram still yields performance benefits. Both men and women can fine-tune their caffeine usage by listening to their bodies and considering hormonal cycles. Now, let's discuss how body weight factors into dose calculations for other supplements. Many effective supplements are dosed relative to body weight rather than by gender. For example, caffeine, nitrates, and even some amino acids have guidelines expressed as milligrams per kilogram of body mass. Because women generally weigh less than men, their absolute dose to achieve the same mg/p ratio will be lower. This doesn't mean women need a different ingredient. It just means adjusting the scoop or capsule count to match their weight. Precision dosing allows for personalization without gender-based marketing. If a product provides a fixed scoop size that doesn't align with your body weight, you can have or adjust the serving. This perspective challenges the need for his and hers formulas and leads us to look specifically at creatine research in women on the next slide. Creatine isn't just for men. Women typically have lower baseline creatine stores because they consume less dietary creatine and have smaller muscle mass. Supplementation has been shown to improve power output, strength gains, and even cognitive function in women, with no evidence of masculinizing side effects. Some researchers suggest that timing creatine around the follicular phase may maximize uptake, but the core maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams per day after saturation applies regardless of cycle stage. The benefits are particularly compelling during high-intensity training or periods of energy restriction. The bottom line: creatine is a safe and effective supplement for women and men alike. Now let's turn to citrulline and nitric oxide research. L-citrulline is widely used to enhance blood flow and endurance by increasing nitric oxide. Studies show that it effectively raises arginine levels in both men and women, leading to improved vascular function and, in some cases, performance. However, most nitric oxide research has been conducted in male participants, and the few female-specific studies available don't point to substantial differences. There is some indication that women may respond differently to dietary nitrates like beetroot juice, but the data are limited and inconsistent. What we can say is that citrulline remains a promising ingredient for both sexes when dosed at research-supported levels. More female-focused studies would help clarify any subtle distinctions. Next, we'll look at whether gender-labeled formulas actually differ in their ingredients. When you compare the labels of for men and for women pre-workouts side by side, they often read the same. Independent analyses have shown that the core ingredients, citrulline, creatine, beta-alanine, and even caffeine, are present in similar amounts across gender products. The biggest difference is sometimes a slightly lower caffeine dose in women's formulas, and the occasional addition of cosmetic ingredients like collagen, hyaluronic acid, or biotin. These additions might appeal to consumers interested in skin and hair health, but they do not change the performance profile of the pre-workout. This reveals that gender products are more about marketing than formulation. Up next, we'll examine how packaging reinforces gender segmentation and contributes to the pink tax. Packaging is where gender marketing is most visible. Women's supplements often feature pink, purple, or pastel hues with delicate fonts and phrases like beauty boost or toned and slim. Men's products lean into dark, bold designs with aggressive names and lightning bolts. Despite nearly identical formulas, the price tag on the women's version can be up to 11% higher, according to research from the Cato Institute. This pink tag suggests you're paying for the marketing, not better ingredients. Understanding this helps you avoid spending extra on cosmetic differences. Next, we'll explore why companies persist in marketing segmentation despite offering similar formulas. From a business perspective, segmentation makes sense. By tailoring products to different demographics, companies expand their market share without having to develop entirely new formulas. Labeling a pre-workout as for her or for him taps into gender norms and allows brands to set different price points. Identity-based marketing leverages our desire to feel seen and catered to, which can override rational assessment of the product's contents. For the company, the formula stays the same, but the packaging and messaging change to create multiple revenue streams. Recognizing this strategy empowers you to look beyond the branding. Next, we'll talk about why gender marketing works so well psychologically. Targeted marketing appeals to our sense of identity. When a product seems designed specifically for me, I'm more likely to trust that it addresses my needs. This is why for women, supplements can feel reassuring even when the ingredient list is generic. Personal identity influences purchasing decisions more than we might realize. We often choose brands that reflect our aspirations and values. In addition, targeted branding lends an aura of expertise. If a company claims to specialize in women's nutrition, consumers may assume it knows more about female physiology. These psychological factors help explain why gender marketing persists. On the next slide, we'll discuss legitimate differences that might justify small adjustments in supplementation. Although most core ingredients work the same in all adults, there are situations where sex-specific considerations matter. We've already mentioned caffeine metabolism slowing during the luteal phase, which can increase anxiety and disrupt sleep timing, and dosage adjustments help mitigate this. Body weight differences mean that dosing based on milligrams per kilogram yields lower absolute amounts for smaller individuals, who are often women. Hormonal fluctuations across the menstrual cycle can influence water retention and recovery, so paying attention to hydration and electrolyte balance matters. Outside of pre-workouts, women may also require more iron or calcium due to menstruation and bone health. Recognizing these nuances helps tailor supplementation without falling for pink marketing. Now let's discuss when it probably doesn't matter at all. For the majority of performance-enhancing supplements, gender is irrelevant. Ingredients like creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine act on fundamental pathways: phosphocreatine resynthesis, carnosine buffering, and adenosine receptor antagonism that don't differ between men and women. When doses are adjusted for body weight and tolerance, studies show comparable gains in strength, endurance, and power across sexes. Differences in nitrate responses may reflect the limited sample sizes in female-specific research rather than true physiological divergence. The marketing categories you see exaggerate modest differences to justify separate products. This perspective underscores the value of focusing on evidence and individual factors like weight and goals. Up next, I'll share how to evaluate supplements objectively. To choose an effective supplement, start by flipping to the Supplement Facts panel. Look at the serving size and number of servings per container. A scoop that's too small can't deliver clinical doses. Compare each ingredient's amount to the evidence-based ranges we discussed earlier. Seek products with transparent labels that list every ingredient and dose, and look for third-party testing or certifications that verify purity and potency. Don't let the colors, names, or gender labels on the front of the tub sway your assessment. By applying these criteria, you can spot underdosed formulas and avoid paying extra for branding. On the next slide, we'll outline a broader strategy for smart supplementation. A smart supplement strategy puts science first and stereotypes last. Choose products based on high-quality ingredients delivered at clinically effective doses. Don't be impressed by long lists of trendy add-ons. Adjust your dosages to your body weight and personal tolerance rather than following one-size-fits-all scoop recommendations. Support brands that provide evidence and education, and be wary of those that rely solely on influencer hype or gendered messaging. Enjoy the taste if it helps you stay consistent, but never let flavor or color be the primary deciding factor. This balanced approach helps you achieve your training goals while saving money and avoiding unnecessary marketing traps. Next, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways. As we've seen, men and women share the same physiological pathways that ergogenic supplements target. The ingredients that boost blood flow, power, and focus work through universal mechanisms, What varies is the absolute dose based on body weight and, in some cases, menstrual cycle phase. Research consistently shows that creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine are effective for both sexes when dosed properly. Most gender-labeled pre-workouts differ in packaging and pricing, not in their formula. By learning to read labels, comparing doses to research, and ignoring superficial branding, you can avoid the pink tax and get the results you want. In our final slide, I'll encourage you to let science guide your choices and share what you've learned with others. The color of a tub or the words for men or for women should never be the reason you choose a supplement. Base your decisions on solid science. Know the ingredients, understand the effective doses, and check whether the label discloses them clearly. Support brands that invest in research, transparency, and third-party testing, and don't hesitate to ask questions or demand proof. Keep educating yourself and share your experiences in your community. The more informed we are, the harder it becomes for marketing to obscure the truth. When you let evidence guide your choices, you not only optimize your own performance, but also help drive the industry toward better practices for everyone.